So I had a really, really interesting conversation with the person, my loved one who works in aged care, because she put forward all these different scenarios that can occur in aged care, and that the nurses and stuff find themselves in thinking, what would this resident want right now? This is where they go to the Advance Care Directive, and often there's not enough probably written in there, but and my loved one was saying, oh, you're going to be so annoying, Fraser, when they read your Advance Care Directive, because there's going to be so much in there. But there was some really tricky situations. So one was, if they take you out in public, can they give you a doll? I could be in my early 50s, and I'll be out in public carrying a doll around. I'm picturing what that looks like in my head now, and it doesn't look good. I don't want to be seen that way. But at the same time, it's not that big a deal for me. If it's bringing me happiness, if that doll's bringing me happiness in that time, or comfort or whatever it is, then just give me the doll. So I'm not fussed with that. Another one is kind of like those risk-taking behaviours. So if I want to go and dance in the rain, in a sense, the staff there could be trying to keep me safe at all the times and overprotect even to a degree, where that's not in line with my values. Like I'd rather go let me dance in the rain, even if it does mean I'm going to be uncomfortable for the next few weeks because I've got the flu or something. I think at the end of the day, I think I'd rather live for those highlight moments and endure some crap to have those highlight moments. So that's a kind of general approach I think I'd have. I'm putting in here.
I mean, take care of me best you can. If you got to put me in a home, just make sure they're not, neglecting me over there, that sort of thing. I'm not that picky, I don't think.
I do have, maybe it's an irrational fear, and it might sound a bit strange to throw this one in here, but if I'm being really, really honest, I have a real fear in terms of going to a care facility of as an older man with a disease where I can't maybe talk or move or have any autonomy whatsoever. I fear the people who will care for me. I fear whether they will have my best interests at heart. That's maybe an irrational fear I have, but I have abuse in my background, so that's kind of something that brings up a lot of triggers. And
one thing that I kind of responded funny to, though, was sexual behaviour. So there's a bunch of scenarios where this comes up. One, for example, is sometimes my loved one, they'd have to set up the room for the resident to be able to, self-pleasure. And then they'd have to go in and clean up after it. And that just makes me feel really uncomfortable. Like I feel like that is a really private thing to do, and I don't like the idea of someone having to come in and clean up after it. And I also don't like the idea of them knowing that's what I'm doing right now. In saying that, my loved one was saying, like, it's just actually common, happens all the time, and also, to be honest, Fraser, you're going to be quite young. You're going to still have a sex drive, and it's nothing to be embarrassed about. So that provides comfort, but at the same time, it was one area that really, it's funny, when she said it, I just initially was like, oh, I don't want that. Like, I if there was a drug that they could give me to just get rid of my sex drive, I'd happily take that. I'm consenting to that. Give me that. And I think that would help with even a bigger concern that I've got. One thing I'm always worried about is that in those later stages, I've got 2 daughters, and I'm really worried that, I'm not going to recognise them. I'm going to lack a filter. And I don't want to be, inappropriate around them or to them. I am really worried about that. And just because I imagine being them and having their dad be that way towards them, I think that would be it'd be heartbreaking. And so yeah, if you can give me a drug, just, just to get rid of the sex drive, that'd be great. I'm definitely noting that in this form. But it also ties in with another closely related topic, which is romantic relationships. So if you're in a care facility, and you're digressed with your dementia, then you know you might start buddying up with someone. There might be someone who's you're taking a fancy to, and they've taken a fancy to you, or if they haven't taken a fancy to you, and yeah, that's yeah. Again, just get rid of my sex drive for that. but the romantic relationships part, is I think this depends a lot too if you yourself have a partner. And this is one thing I didn't really want to have to talk about, to be honest. It happened quite a while ago, but my partner and I have separated. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but yeah, she's an amazing person. She's still she's still a power of attorney for me, but yeah, I'm not going to go into the details of that. But the reason why I bring it up though really is because I'll be single when I go in that stage, and with that in mind, I don't feel like I'm betraying anybody then, And that's where I think if you were with somebody, I think that would be harder to know how you feel about that. If I was with her and in a relationship still with her, and she's having to come visit me and stuff, and here I am forming a relationship with someone else, I think that'd be horrible for her. So yeah, anyway, for me, I think I'm fine with it. My loved one was saying that, well, what happens if it's a guy? I'm not gay. What if you start partnering up with a guy? And I actually just felt like, well, whatever rocks my boat in that scenario. I'm not. If I'm happy, whatever's bringing me happiness. I'm happy. I think another topic that comes up in this space too is about prolonging life, things that they could be doing. So I think with dementia you can lose the desire to eat. Or you can also go the other way too. You just don't realise you're not full and you just keep eating. But if you're not eating, you're wasting away. And so they can give you a tube, I guess, and you can consume your food that way. But if you're going to be pulling at it all the time, and because you're not really knowing what's going on and you're uncomfortable or whatever, and I'm not sure if they can just stop feeding you and you sort of pass away naturally. I'm not sure if that's an even option, but I don't know how I feel about all that. But another thing too is medication. So if you are in that very late stage, unaware of things, but just before that you are aware of things and you're aware of how shit things are you better off not giving me my dementia medication? Like, what's the point of trying to keep me as lucid or aware of, or my cognition as best as possible? Like, I'm thinking you're probably better off to stop giving my dementia medication and letting me get to the next stage, getting out of this awareness stage and getting to the final stage quicker. I don't know if it even works that way, but that's something I can put in there. I can say, well, in those later stages, just don't give me my dementia medication. I don't want it.
I mean, if I'm unconscious, the only thing I would probably like is family around and them talking to me, because I think like you often hear like people can still hear, like if they're a subconscious or whatever, unconscious, they can still hear those around them talking to them. So I'd be okay like with my family sitting around and talking and whatever. But other than that, like I don't need all that other stuff if I'm unconscious.
So I agree 100% with Michele. I don't care about any, there's no rituals or anything I need done, or I don't want any music necessarily playing. I mean, initially I thought it'd be nice to have my music playing, but you're not going to care about the damn music, I don't think. At the end of the day, you just want your loved ones there. And I feel like it's not even about what you want in that moment with your loved ones. They're the ones who are going to be left with that memory, with that moment. It's almost like, well, what do they want as well? So I would assume that they want to be there. And to be honest, I kind of feel like it'd be one of those things that if you think you don't want to be there, you'd later regret it. So yeah, I just feel that being able to have my loved ones with me in that final moment, especially my kids, if I could just have them with me. I don't have to be very conscious to it all, but
this might change in the future, but I don't see myself asking for help to end my life in any way. I don't feel like I have that right because I'm a parent. And that's just my personal belief. It might come a time where I'm suffering so much that I wish that I wouldn't have to be here.
And I don't know whether I really want people around me to see me slowly decline. I'd rather take things into right now, today, might change next year or tomorrow. I kind of prefer the idea of taking things into my own hands, making some choices and decisions, particularly if I live to older bones. Parkinson would have taken so many decisions away from me and choices away from me. And I just feel that it's really important to me to have some autonomy and some choice at the end of my life.
I think there's a couple of points I wanted to talk about here. One is, I think there's a bit of confusion out there around the distinction between an Advance Care Directive and assisted dying. So I think a lot of people sort of, when you're thinking about this form, it's easy to start thinking like it's like assisted dying as well. I feel like in that scenario, in assisted dying, you've got a situation where doctors have said, yes, you've only got 6 months or a year left to live, or whatever the time frame is, and we understand that you want to end things now. Okay, all right, and we'll do something to you then to end your life. Where my understanding of this is different. You're in a situation where shit has already hit the fan, and do you want them to come and rescue you? In one sense, though, I guess if you're if you're in a situation and you don't come in and intervene, it's still kind of the same outcome, isn't it? You're still choosing death at the end of the day. The other thing to keep in mind too is that this is just a document that I'm using to outline what my wishes are and what my preferences are and what things are important to me. But it doesn't mean the doctors have to comply with it. At the end of the day, I don't know how much influence this document really has. The doctors still have to. They're still got to meet their expectations of their profession and do no harm. What do you call it? Code of practice or whatever their thing is. I think this is more about, the way I'm looking at it is more about those situations where doctors and care personnel have a situation where they go, okay, we've got a choice right now. We can do X or Z. Both of them are okay in a sense. I don't know how you say that. I don't know. I'm confused by it, but it's still any situation where the doctor would have to ask your consent for something or ask for your opinion or your thoughts. That's where I feel like this has come into play. But I think there's actually a lot more grey area that they work in. And that's why I think this, especially after having that conversation about long-term care, I think there's a lot of wiggle room that they have in situations. And so I kind of feel like this is probably the most important video I'm going to make, because this applies to everybody, whether or not you've got dementia. Just go out and get this done. And on a final note, I'm not quite sure how doctors will even know what I've written in this form. It's all well and good to write stuff in it, but if they can't read it, it's useless. I think, so in here it says to give it to your medical decision maker. So the people who I've nominated to do that, they can have a copy. So they'll get contacted in the event of an emergency anyway. But if they can't get through to them, I think I can put this up on MyGov, which is where you put your medical records and stuff. So any hospital and stuff, I guess in Australia, can see, or any care home or something can see it. But that's another thing too. When it does get in the later stages, I could just give this to a care facility if I go into a care facility, and then they've got it as well.
I wonder if they already have it in the system. I mean, there's everything's online, so maybe they have it in the My Chart. I don't know. Do you guys like where your medical records are? Maybe they have it in there. The way I've seen it done is usually when people get to that point where they're in hospice or that sort of thing, or no, well, even before hospice, when they're at the point where they need to, they need to know, like, hey, do you have a will? Do you have a advance directive? That's usually when the doctors are asking the people, and then usually people are like, oh no, I didn't think of that, and then like, oh well, you better hurry up and go get one. So this way, that sort of thing before that person's unconscious and they can't make their own decisions. So yeah, I think that's how it usually happens. It happens like that in the movies a lot too.
It's crazy, really, that I've been diagnosed for 11 years and I still haven't really thought these things through. Yeah, I guess we're all kind of wired a bit to not really think about our own death.